Maya sat at her desk, staring at the mountain of work that had accumulated over the past few months. Bills were piled high, unfinished projects cluttered her workspace, and unread emails seemed to multiply by the day. She felt overwhelmed, like she was drowning in responsibilities. Life had a way of throwing curveballs, and recently it seemed like she was being hit from every direction. It wasn't just the workload. Her personal life was unraveling too. Her closest friends were moving on with their lives, pursuing their dreams while she felt stuck, buried under the weight of her own anxieties. Maya had always been ambitious, but lately she struggled to even get out of bed. The path to her goals felt like a distant horizon, impossibly far away. One evening, after a particularly rough day, she went for a walk to clear her head. As she wandered through the neighborhood, she noticed an elderly woman in her garden, tending to a row of vibrant flowers. Despite the woman's slow, deliberate movements, there was something peaceful about the way she worked, methodically caring for each plant. Curious, Maya stopped to admire the garden. "Your flowers are beautiful," she said. The woman smiled warmly. "Thank you, dear. They didn't start out this way, though. When I first planted them, I wasn't sure they'd even survive." Maya tilted her head. "Really? They look so perfect now." The woman nodded. "Oh, it took a lot of time and patience. I had to water them every day, trim the dead leaves, and make sure they had just the right amount of sunlight. Some days it felt like nothing was happening, like all my effort was wasted. But I kept going, just one small task at a time, and over time they grew into this." Maya stood there for a moment, letting the woman's words sink in. It struck her that life was much like tending a garden. It wasn't about trying to tackle everything all at once. It was about showing up every day, doing what you could, and trusting that small steps would eventually lead to big changes. As Maya continued her walk, she made a decision. Tomorrow she wouldn't focus on the mountain of tasks waiting for her. Instead, she would focus on just one thing, the most important step she could take that day. It wouldn't solve everything at once, but it would move her forward. The next morning, Maya sat at her desk again. This time, instead of feeling overwhelmed, she picked one task from the list, just one, and gave it her full attention. She completed it, then crossed it off with a sense of accomplishment. For the first time in a long while, she felt a glimmer of hope. She realized that even the biggest challenges could be conquered, not by rushing to the finish line, but by taking steady, purposeful steps. Days turned into weeks, and Maya stuck to her plan. One small step each day, one more bill paid, one more email answered, one more task completed. Slowly but surely, the mountain of responsibilities began to shrink. With each step forward, her confidence grew. What once seemed impossible now felt within reach. As Maya's life began to shift, she found herself thinking often of the elderly woman and her garden. The flowers hadn't bloomed overnight, and neither had Maya's progress. But with patience and persistence, she learned that she could conquer anything life threw her way, one step at a time. This story emphasizes the power of breaking down life's overwhelming challenges into manageable steps. It highlights how patience and daily effort can lead to transformation, encouraging readers to take things one day at a time when facing obstacles.